Have you ever felt like the world is collapsing on top of you? Like you are a leaf caught in a hurricane, tossed around by debts, heartbreaks, and the opinions of people who don't even matter? We spend our lives chasing a happiness that feels like trying to catch smoke with our bare hands. But what if I told you there is a way to become untouchable? Not by changing the world, but by destroying the version of yourself that is weak. Centuries ago, in the marble halls of Rome and the dusty streets of Athens, a group of men discovered a mental fortress. They called it Stoicism. It wasn't about suppressing emotions, it was about becoming an apex predator of your own mind. This video isn't just another motivational speech, it is a psychological surgery. I am going to give you 8 brutal Stoic laws that will shatter your old perspective and rebuild you into someone who is mentally unbreakable. If you stay until the end, you won't just know Stoicism, you will feel it vibrating in your bones. Let's begin the journey of your rebirth. Law 1. Amor Fati, to love one's fate. The first law is perhaps the most brutal because it demands total surrender to reality. Amor Fati. In Latin, it translates to a love of fate. Most people live in a state of constant war with reality. We scream at the sky when it rains on our parade. We curse the universe when we lose a job or a lover. We ask, why me? The Stoic answer is chilling. Why not you? Amor Fati is not about tolerating your life. It is not about accepting your pain. It is about loving it. Friedrich Nietzsche, deeply influenced by the Stoics, called it the formula for human greatness. It means that you do not wish for anything to be different, not in the past, not in the future, not for all eternity. Imagine your life is a movie. You cannot change the script that has already been written, but you are the lead actor. If the script says you lose everything, you don't cry. You play the role of the man who lost everything with such grace and power that the audience is moved to tears. When a fire breaks out, most things are consumed by it, but a Stoic is the fire itself. The more obstacles you throw into a fire, the hotter and brighter it burns. Your bankruptcy, your illness, your betrayal, these are not bad things, they are the oxygen for your greatness. To live by Amor Fati is to look at your worst day and say, thank you, I needed this to become who I am meant to be. Law 2. The dichotomy of control, the great filter. The second law is the foundation of all mental peace. It is the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, a man born into slavery who became one of the greatest philosophers in history, started his handbook with these words: "Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us." It sounds simple, almost too simple, but look at your anxiety, look at your stress. 99% of it comes from trying to control things that are not up to you. You cannot control if someone likes you. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control the weather or the mistakes you made yesterday. You cannot control the jerk who cut you off in traffic. When you try to control the uncontrollable, you are a slave. You are giving your keys to a stranger and asking them to drive you into a ditch. A Stoic builds a wall in their mind. On one side are externals, reputation, wealth, the body, and the past. These are indifference. On the other side is the internal, your opinions, your intentions, your desires, and your own actions. This is the only place where your power exists. If you are a sailor, you cannot control the storm. You cannot control the waves. If you spend your energy screaming at the wind, you will drown. Instead, a Stoic sailor focuses entirely on the sails. He tightens the ropes. He holds the rudder. Whether the ship sinks or reaches the shore is up to the sea, but how he meets the wave is up to him. To rewire your mind, you must stop being a victim of the outcome and start being a master of the effort. When you truly realize that the only thing you own is your mind, you become dangerous, because nothing outside that mind can ever truly hurt you unless you give it permission. The reflection, the price of iron. We are only at the beginning. These first two laws are the fire and the hammer. They strip away your illusions. They tell you that your excuses are lies and your complaints are a waste of breath. Most people will turn off this video now. They want comfort. They want someone to tell them it's okay to be weak. But you are still here. You are here because you know that a life of comfort is a life of decay. You are ready to pay the price of iron to have a soul of steel. Law 3. Memento Mori. Remember, you must die. The fire is burning and the hammer is striking. Now we move to the most hauntingly beautiful law of all, Memento Mori. In the heights of the Roman Empire, when a victorious general would parade through the streets, a slave stood behind him, whispering a single phrase into his ear, Memento Mori. Remember, you are mortal. Even in your greatest glory, you are dying. Most people treat death as a taboo, a dark shadow to be hidden away. We live as if we have 10,000 years to waste on TikTok, on pointless arguments, and on holding grudges. Stoicism rips this curtain away. It tells you you could leave life right now. This is not meant to be depressing. It is meant to be liberating. When you realize that the death is standing right behind you, the petty problems of your life evaporate. Does it really matter that your boss was rude to you? Does it matter that your post didn't get enough likes? In the shadow of the grave, only the truth remains. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Stop wandering. You have no more time to read your own diaries or the history of the ancient Romans. Jump to the finish line." To rewire your mind with Memento Mori is to treat every conversation as if it's your last, to treat every morning as a miracle you didn't deserve. If you knew you were going to die tomorrow, would you still be angry at the person who hurt you, or would you focus on the strength of your own character? Death is the ultimate filter. It strips away the ego and leaves only the soul. A man who is not afraid to die is a man who cannot be controlled by anyone. Law 4. Premeditatio Malorum. The premeditation of evils. Now that we have faced our mortality, we must face our fears. This is Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. Most self-help gurus tell you to visualize success. They tell you to imagine the money, the cars, and the applause. The Stoics tell you to do the exact opposite. Visualize the catastrophe. Sit in a quiet room and imagine the worst-case scenario. Imagine losing your job. Imagine your house burning down. Imagine the person you love most leaving you. Imagine being paralyzed or disgraced. Why? Because anxiety lives in the uncertainty of the future. By walking through the darkness in your mind before it happens in reality, you rob the disaster of its power. When you have already lived through the loss of your wealth in your mind, the actual loss cannot break you. You have already seen it. You have already survived it. Seneca said, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." This is mental rehearsal for the soul. It makes you unbreakable because you are never surprised. While everyone else is panicking because things went wrong, you are standing calm because you already expected it. You realize that even if you lose everything, you still have your character, your reason, and your dignity. Those are things the world cannot take unless you surrender them. By practicing Premeditatio Malorum, you stop being a fragile glass that shatters at the first touch. You become the mountain that the storm tries to move but fails. 7. The turning point, the weight of wisdom. We have covered 4 laws. You have learned to love your fate, to separate what you control, to face your death, and to rehearse your disasters. Your mind is already beginning to shift. You can feel the weight of these truths. It is heavy, isn't it? But wisdom is a heavy burden that only the strong can carry. The old, fragile you is dying. The new, unbreakable you is taking its first breath. But the most brutal laws are still to come, the laws that deal with your ego, your enemies, and the silence of the universe. Law 5. Sympathia, the cosmic connection. We move now to a law that heals the feeling of isolation, sympathia. The Stoics believed that the entire universe is one living, breathing organism. Every human, every tree, every star is a thread in the same giant tapestry. Why is this brutal? Because it forces you to stop being the center of your own universe. Most of our pain comes from our small, petty selfishness. We feel insulted, we feel cheated, we feel alone. But sympathia tells you that you are just a cell in a larger body. Marcus Aurelius said, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee." When someone treats you badly, a Stoic doesn't see an enemy. They see a broken part of the whole. They see someone who is ignorant of the truth. If a blind man bumps into you, do you get angry? No, because he cannot see. When someone betrays you or lies to you, they are morally blind. Why let their blindness ruin your day? By practicing sympathia, you develop a cosmic perspective. You look down on your problems from the height of the stars. From that height, your broken heart or your empty bank account looks like a grain of sand. You realize that you are part of something vast and eternal. This doesn't make your life meaningless. It makes your ego powerless. You stop taking things personally. You start acting for the common good because you realize that hurting others is just another way of hurting yourself. Law 4. Ego is the enemy, the death of the student. The 6th law is a direct attack on your greatest protector and your worst betrayer, your ego. Epictetus famously said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Ego is the voice that tells you that you are special, that you deserve more, and that you are better than others. It is also the voice that tells you that you are a victim and that the world owes you something. Both are lies. To rewire your mind, you must become a perpetual student. The moment you think you have arrived, you begin to rot. A Stoic knows that they know nothing. They are always listening, always observing, and always ready to be corrected. Ego makes you fragile. When someone criticizes you, your ego screams and defends itself. But a man without ego simply asks, "Is this criticism true?" If it is, he thanks them and improves. If it is not, he ignores it like the barking of a distant dog. You must kill the part of you that wants to be admired. You must kill the part of you that wants to be right more than it wants to be wise. True strength is found in humility. The most dangerous person in the room is the one who is listening while everyone else is trying to impress. When you destroy your ego, you become a vacuum for knowledge and a fortress of calm. You no longer need the world to clap for you because you have finally learned to clap for yourself. The final descent into the silence. The screen goes dark. Only the sound of heavy wind or a heartbeat remains. A single white quote appears. Silence is a lesson. 6 laws have been carved into your mind. You are no longer the person you were 20 minutes ago. You have faced fate, control, death, fear, the cosmos, and your own ego. But there are two final laws left. These are the most secretive and the most powerful. They are the laws of the inner citadel and the silent action. They are the difference between someone who talks about Stoicism and someone who is a Stoic. Are you ready to enter the final chamber? Law 7, the inner citadel, the invisible fortress. We have reached the 7th law, the inner citadel. Marcus Aurelius often spoke about the mind as a fortress, a place where you can retreat at any moment and find perfect peace. He said, "The mind that is free from passion is a very citadel, for man has no fortress more impregnable." The world will try to invade you. It will use the news to scare you, social media to make you jealous, and toxic people to make you angry. They are all trying to breach your walls. But the brutal truth is this: no one can enter your mind unless you let them. You must build this inner citadel every single day. You build it by choosing not to be harmed. You build it by being the master of your own perceptions. If someone insults you and you do not feel insulted, the insult has failed. It lies dead at the foot of your fortress walls. A Stoic can be in a prison cell and still be free. A Stoic can be in the middle of a war and still be calm. Why? Because their happiness is not tied to the outside. It is anchored deep within the citadel. Your mind is the only thing that truly belongs to you. Protect it as if your life depends on it, because it does. Law 8. Action over words, the silent philosophy. Finally, we arrive at the 8th and most important law, the law that separates the dreamers from the warriors. Don't talk about it, be it. Epictetus gave us a sharp warning. Sheep do not throw up the grass to show the shepherds how much they have eaten, but inwardly digesting their food, they outwardly produce wool and milk. The biggest trap in self-improvement is mental masturbation, watching videos, reading books, and talking about philosophy without ever changing your life. You don't become a Stoic by quoting Marcus Aurelius on your Instagram story. You become a Stoic by how you react when your car breaks down in the rain. You become a Stoic by how you treat the person who can do nothing for you. Philosophy is not a set of ideas. It is a way of breathing, acting, and dying. If you want to rewire your mind, stop explaining your philosophy. Embody it. Let your silence be your strength. Let your character be your resume. When people look at you, they shouldn't hear your words. They should see your discipline, your kindness, and your unshakable calm. That is the ultimate brutal law. Your life is the only proof of your philosophy. Conclusion: the unbreakable soul. We have traveled through the 8 laws. You now possess the ancient blueprint to rewire your mind. You love your fate. You control your reactions. You remember your death. You prepare for the worst. You connect with the cosmos. You kill your ego. You build your fortress, and you speak with your actions. The path of the Stoic is not for the faint of heart. It is a lonely path, a difficult path, but it is the only path that leads to true freedom. You are no longer a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your soul. The world will continue to be chaotic. People will continue to be difficult. Life will continue to be unpredictable. But none of that matters anymore, because you have become unbreakable. Go out now and live not as a person who is searching for strength, but as a person who has finally found it within themselves. The journey doesn't end here. It begins the moment you turn off this screen. Be great, be Stoic, be free.